Drew, you haven't graduated to the touch screen yet?
Look, I've done it before, but I just like to see these sausage fingers and how they can operate this screen. Have a look at these fingers.
This screen size is good for us. Finally, we have one that's in scale for us.
It's so good, can see it. He doesn't need his glasses.
I can see you from here, pal.
We want to look at line-out attack, and what we've seen through theming really right through the last few years of Australian rugby. Love to start with maul, which is such an issue for the Brumbies in the way they score their points and how teams are building positive mauling opportunities.
Absolutely. This is as much as it is a tactic as it is technique. How to get ascendancy in a forward pack, big morale booster, and also manipulate defence as you move through games, in which Morgan will point to. If we start the game here, or we start the maul, we just want to concentrate on a couple of players. We want to concentrate on Tom Ross, the effort that he does in these games, in these mauls, to keep his feet and keep the maul going straight. We want to talk about Caden Neville not only winning the ball, but making sure that he's orchestrating the direction of the maul. And later on, as this maul evolves, we'll talk about Darcy Swain here in the middle as well. These are the three key members of this maul, and look how fast they form this maul once the ball is won. One of the great sayings that the great Jake Howard used to say is shoulders on bums, sheep's in the sheep pen. You want to get everyone heading in that direction. You want to have everyone on the same plane. You want to make sure they're working towards a narrow head and strong long tail. Now we've got a decision. Darcy Swain here, he's on the ground. He's on the ground, he's a bit of a sacrificial lamb. We're happy to lose him if we've got discipline with the other players. And look at the work that Caden Neville does here to keep the feet. He's talking all the time. He's telling Folau Fainga what to do. We're nearly there, we're coming there. Make sure we're going forward. Folau Fainga, he'll never get an easier try. Or he might. Probably the next one. Let's talk about this one. Look at the speed of formation. Look how long and strong they are. Look at the body shape of the players. Look at them all looking to get shoulders on bums. Look at them all working hard to make sure that this is as narrow as possible. As we play it forward, speed of formation. Folau Fainga finds his way into the ball. We've got shoulders on bums working all the way through. Darcy Swain working hard. Players making sure they're entering with patience and pushing the ball forward. Lots of moving parts, lots of aggression, lots of technique, and lots of ascendancy from a moral point of view from one forward pack to another.
Such a great illustration there of a wonderful weapon for the Brumbies. And what also happens with the Brumbies, teams start to prepare for their maul, and they're worried about it. They spend time on it, time they don't spend on other parts of the game. And then we get to see what the Brumbies do differently around the maul when they show different pictures. I've gone right back to last year in Super Rugby AU. We'll show a couple of options. And this is a shape that pretty much every team in Super Rugby AU are trying to use as a bit of a fake maul.
Let me just pause it there just quickly, Morgs, and I'll just highlight the difference between the size of the head of this maul and what we saw earlier. Earlier, we saw everyone long and strong. That's a bit of an indicator. We've also got someone here occupying the back of the line-out defence for Melbourne Rebels to separate that gap. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's excellent. So if you're a coach, there's a really good visual cue for your teams. If it's a wide maul, it might not be the same thing they're doing. What they do brilliantly well here, the Brumbies, is they have bodies in motion, which I love to see, and they manipulate defences. The key guy here, funnily enough, is Joe Powell, who isn't even at the Brumbies anymore, coming back down the blind side. He's out of that. He's not part of a maul setup. What he does is he commits Marika Korobidi, and in the background, he'll also commit Ryan Lawrence, who's another halfback in the back of the maul. And you'll also see here, Jordan Ulisi has to worry about players like Tavita Kurandrani coming back against the grain. And then you'll also see motion from some of these Brumbies players just out the back or through the middle. And then this guy, Andy Muirhead, will be the try scorer. So if we play it through here, very quickly, we just see bang, bodies in motion. Now, what I'd love to show you is the end on which we get a better view of the space that's created. And we see how quickly it's done. We'll see Powell come around the other way, but the motion back through, and there's that hole. Ulisi does what he probably has to do. He slides off onto the first guy, but no one is good enough to get off the back of this maul defence for the Rebels and just try and get into that slot. He comes out there, Folau Fainga, and there's the space in between. Really good work. And what we've seen is, right through Super Rugby, teams are doing it. The Rebels, with Joe Powell by coincidence, do it on the weekend. And what they do really well is have bodies in motion once again. Powell goes around down the blind side, and you see here James Hansen drops one underneath. Now, I want to take it back a little bit to show that the great thing that the Force do is they actually defend it really well in terms of moving guys into channels, but Fergus Lee Warner over chases. So the fact that there's so many options going at the line, on the seam of them all, down the blind side, teams aren't coping with it. You're worried about the Brumbies maul. You're worried about all these options off a fake maul. It's been try time for a couple of Super Rugby AU teams, Roz.
Good stuff, guys. Drew, what do you think?
Well, there's
Do pretty well.
Yeah, there's a bit of sense behind it all. I've been, obviously not involved in too much in the line-outs and the driving mauls, but I mean, it's just a great tactic when used well. We've seen how beneficial it has been for the Brumbies.
And they do.